Right. This topic is very important. This is about the difference many franchisees experience between before they sign the contract and after they sign the contract. Now, remember, before you sign the contract, the franchisor is doing everything they can get you to do to sign that dotted line. I mean, they're definitely going to say, hey, look, we understand that there are these really dangerous all caps clauses here in this agreement and that you have to initial them. And, that's just the way these agreements are. All franchise agreements are this way. And that's true. And all franchise agreements require you to sign a personal guarantee. And that's true. And the franchisor will most likely tell you, the only reason why those all cap statements are there and why that personal guarantee is there is to help with the problem franchisees, the ones who just aren't really willing to work hard and aren't following the system, etc. And if you've been investigating a franchise for a while, you hear that too, These businesses are proven to work. Nobody's checking the FDDs, but these businesses are proven to work, and if you will follow the system, the business will work for you. You've been fed through this process the idea that you are going to succeed if you follow the system based on the help that the franchisor is going to give you, and that's why you're paying the franchisor this really expensive franchise fee. So, you're going to hear that from the franchisor before you sign the contract. These all cap statements and this personal guarantee, these are only here for the people who aren't really doing what they should do as a franchisee. And there are always a few problem people everywhere you go, right? All right, so then you sign the franchise contract. Now, remember, you've signed a dangerous contract and they're busy, they've got their business they've got going. It may or may not be as successful as what they've claimed on the FDD or elsewhere or to you, and honestly, they don't need to follow, they don't need to really even give you the training they promise in the FDD because now you've signed those all cap statements, etc., right? And they are actually legally incentivized to make any problem that might come up your fault. Because remember, the language is, the whole thought process is that people who don't follow what the franchisor says to do may not succeed, and therefore we need those all cap statements and those personal guarantees to go after those people to make it fair to the franchisor. Well, with that comes the idea, the fact that it's in the franchisor's best interest legally to create a record that makes it appear as if any problems that are happening in your business are your fault, not theirs. And the reason why they want this written record, whether it's emails or any sort of correspondence that goes between the two of you, is if they go to court, they are going to tell the judge that the reason why you didn't succeed with that franchise is because you didn't do what they said. Because that's how they win in court, using the contract that they've designed in their own favor to get your money to invest in their business. So what this means for you, experience-wise, is you go from a place where everybody's trying to get you to sign the contract and they're making promises and they've even got things in the FDD and in their agreement that they say they'll give you. That's before you sign the contract. To after you sign the contract, they are now incentivized to pretty much behave in just an opposite manner, to make it appear as if any problem that you're having is your fault because you're not doing the work. Because this is how they're going to win in court if they need to take your money. So you find yourself in a situation where you paid this really hefty franchise fee to people who you were sold on the idea that they would help you build a business because you believe in the American dream and you want to be a business owner, even if you don't feel you're ready to be in business by yourself. You're trusting these people. You're giving them a huge amount of money, possibly from your retirement, maybe your life savings, the money you've worked forever for, to get their help. And all of a sudden, these people are creating records, emails, whatnot, correspondence with you, proving that any problem is your fault. So say you don't get those things that were promised in that FDD, that were promised in that franchise agreement, and you say something about it, probably what you're going to hear back from them is how it's all your fault and you're not doing what you were supposed to do. And if you would just do what you were supposed to do, everything would be fine and you'd be succeeding. Because that's what they need to put in writing in order to beat you in court. The last thing that they're going to do is admit that they might have done something wrong. Because if they admit that they're doing something wrong and they're not giving you what they promised you before you signed the agreement, or they're not even giving you what's in the written agreement, then you could use that against them in court. See? So they can't really be those collaborative, helpful people that are going to be there for you, because if they did, that would be a disadvantage for them in court. And while you may be there to build a business, they started this whole thing with some agreements in their favor, getting ready to litigate. Otherwise, the agreements wouldn't be written that way. They're preparing to litigate against you, and after you sign, their litigation begins in the record that they're creating in case you have to go to court. You think you're buying a supportive agreement with your life savings, you're actually buying an abusive situation where you might get litigated against in many, many cases. I'm not saying this is true all the time, but we need regulation. Don't buy a franchise. Don't buy one. It's not safe right now.